Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. And we have the half of Booze and Byron. They are in, and in they are. And it is lovely to see you, as always, once again. Now, I'm going to tell you, I was just talking to my VIP scopers. There I am, and am I there? Hello. Lovely to see you all. And we stumbled across the topic of emotional blackmail. And it's lovely to see you all. So I'm going to tell you what's quite interesting. Once again, those who know me, those who know that I survived death, came back, lived the years of abuse and recreated the universe in my mind, the autist mind, that allows me to tear into the fabric of the universe because I am blind to natural intuitions. Now, this is the disclaimer. Of course, that has continuously allowed those going through problems to gravitate towards the autist. Why is that the case? I think we are slowly figuring it out, and I think it is due to my natural imperviousness to emotional blackmail. Now, why is that the case? Well, as I just said, the autist stares and tears right through the fabric of reality with the mathematical brain that he was unfortunately both gifted and cursed with. Now, I wanted to tell you about this gentleman who is currently emotionally blackmailed for the last 5 years, having his soul eaten away piece by piece in a form of forced Alzheimer's of the soul by an insecure wife who was clearly abused as a child, but perhaps not physically, but perhaps emotionally and psychologically, to the point where she cannot be without him. And if she is, her mind plays tricks on her to the point that she will force him emotionally by the use of the children to be back locked in the prison, also known as his beautiful home. This person came to me out of desperation and didn't know who else to turn to. And so they turned to their little silly autistic someone who is someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows them. And they see the calm demeanor in which I speak, which may seem to look sociopathic to those who don't know what the autist is. The autist is the exact opposite. The autist is all empathy but doesn't understand it, and works logically and loves nothing but humanity and humanity itself. Wants to share that love constantly and consistently and frequently with humans and with humanity. And what I told him was things that I find obvious. I said to him, it's quite obvious to me that she was unable to have him outside because of the tricks her mind plays on her. And these are tricks that my brain can't see, but they can infer. And they infer them using imaginary numbers. Wouldn't he have something in the past that makes him attracted to the abuse? That is exactly, Ms. Bombshell, exactly correct. That is exactly correct. And that's why, as I said to you guys last time, causality, right? The cause and the symptom are exactly the same. You decide what is the cause and you decide what is the symptom. If your brother punches you in the face, you can blame your brother, or you could blame yourself for standing in the way of your brother. So both of those are both the symptom and both the cause. You just have to decide which one you can control. And because he can't control her and only himself, it was myself and exactly what Ms. Bombshell said who had to explain to him that it was he who had to make the decision to work out the ramifications of what would happen if he decided to defy her tentacles that wanted to rip his soul out piece by piece and flush it down the toilet into a treasure chest deep within the earth where she could hold on to it for eternity. That was the question. So the question is he able to do that? Now, it's been 6 months. It's actually been 5 years, but it seems 6 months, and I gave him that piece of logic, which to me was quite basic, and I think to some of you it would be basic as well. But it seemed a revelation to this person. It seemed that they were unaware completely of the inner workings of what was asking them to remain debilitated with the psychological abuse. Hard cycle to break. Interesting, yeah. This is the stuff in humans that I find bizarre. Because I learnt not to a victim, they don't know their power. That's a very good point. Victims don't know their power. That's very true. They are unaware of their ability. And we've seen that constantly. I saw that in someone who was a victim of domestic violence, and for whom I risked my life. Both of your comments, yeah, crazy. Can't even respond to those. So yes, it is the person's desire to be the victim, and it may not be a direct desire, but there is a payoff in there. And I asked him, what's your payoff? That was the first thing I asked him. What was your payoff? And this is one of the beauties of autism. For a high-functioning autist who can recreate reality in his conscious mind, and has to do so via watching people's facial expressions with every minute and every second that passes, it makes them tear through the cinematic wall and step out into what everyone else can't see. She's not just threatening a divorce, she's threatening that he would never see the children again. So yes, basically what you just said, but you know, she doesn't even waste her time with the divorce. And the parents are exactly the same. In fact, the mother was like that to the father, and the father was not only emasculated, but the idea of masculinity within his mind and his testicles were eviscerated. And the wife wears them as a trophy to remind him that he never had them to begin with. And this person is an old, decrepit shadow of the possibility of a human being. And this is what the daughter has learned to do, and is repeating the process with this person. Now, it's very interesting, because this person that came to me is one of the most strong, stubborn. Children continue the pattern. So instead of, the only thing that made sense to me to explain why he'd be so tame, yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing. It's very interesting. You could say that, for example, the foot is on the tiger's neck, to use one particular saying. Hurt people, absolutely. And that's the fuel of resentment, which fuels the fake left. He may be recreating the traumas of his youth. He may very well be. We don't know what happened. What's interesting is the partner of mine that I rescued from her domestic violence, physically abusive mother, who had destroyed this person's father. I was able to get her to get away from that mother, even though the mother ended up sending thugs around to break my brother's face and send him to hospital. She ended up, after 3 years, going back to her mother, because that's what victims of abuse do. Even though they know, they rationalize it. And that's what's interesting about humans. Their emotions are so powerful that they will resort to their own world and then blame you for rescuing them from that world. And that was devastating for me, very devastating. Because as you know, all autists, all they want to do is help other people. In fact, they do it out of desperation. It's their food, it's their bread, their butter, their soul. That's what we do. It's what we're compelled to do. In fact, we are obligated to not do anything else. That's almost how it works. We're almost computer programmed as a robot. It is their comfort area. And without successfully replacing it with something else, the habit can never break. And this is another one of these problems that we see. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's absolutely a bad move, because this person, it's only been 6 months, but this person is slowly turning into their mother. And they don't think that they are. But of course, the behaviors within them that they did not like, that they wish they could get rid of, as opposed to learning to get rid of them, they decided to, let's just say, endorse those behaviors within them. And how do you do that? Well, you hang out with people who they themselves act in the same superficial, sociopathic manner. And so it becomes okay to behave that way. And it's much easier to give in to that and end up becoming a 37-year-old woman who hates life, hates men, and has 5 cats and 3 dogs. I won't share the age of the children at this point. I think we all are to a certain degree, and the difference between all of us, So true Westerners, all the beautiful liberals and everyone else and everyone on every part of the spectrum, apart from the extreme ideological traumatized people, I think it's that we recognize our own mental deficiencies and our own issues. At least we realize that we have issues. Whereas those who don't externalize the problem and then want to blame everyone else around them instead of themselves. And I think that is the key difference between authoritarianism and liberalism. So this is the conversation you want to have if you want to get rid of extremist leaders like the Hillary Clintons and the Donald Trumps. If you really wanted to get rid of those, it's looking within ourselves as Westerners to see where we went wrong with ourselves, with understanding our own problems, with understanding that we are flawed and that we don't really know anything. Now, just to remind everybody, who knows, maybe by the time I get off this scope, we're going to go over 300 followers. Shubi, I agree. Liran, that dude shouldn't divorce his wife. Well, it's like taking the Band-Aid off. When I was a kid, my mother removed my Band-Aid once really slowly, and I was screaming. And I decided after that I would forever rip off any Band-Aid I ever had. Miss Bombshell, in this day and age, you would have to be that type of person to be a president. But once again, symptom and cause. Why are we in this day and age? Hello, Deborah. That's the question. And my suggestion, it's like waxing. I wouldn't know, but ripping Band-Aid, you rip it off. You make the decision and you rip it off quickly. And the ones who rip it off quickly are the ones who can deal with what's going on in this society at the moment. It's the ones who have never been able to rip it off are the ones that are struggling with what's going on. And they will continue to blame everyone else. You'll have to watch the replay, my dear Deborah, but it's a pleasure to have you here. Well, when we say he may be, he obviously was, because he's there. So, you know, whether we like it or not, it is what it is. And that's not really the point. The point is, how did we allow our supposed democracy or republic, slow actually, a form of torture, decay to this point? And we know the answer. It's been happening for 40 years. So we, as the West, have been slowly peeling off a Band-Aid for 40 years. Illuminating high and dialectic. These are unverifiable situations. That means that they, and I've spoken about that before, that means that they can be true and they can be false, but there's no way to actually verify. And I tend not to talk about those type of topics on these broadcasts. But it's a very beautiful topic. And if you like, if you direct message me on Gabsmacked at Facebook, my Facebook page, Gabsmacked, and send me some points, I will talk about it definitely. So, remember, Saturday, July the 15th, 2 p.m., which will be New York time midnight. So midnight coming into July the 15th, the Saturday. So it'll be Friday night. Go have drinks, go out, and then I will be broadcasting this live on YouTube and on Periscope. I might do it on Gabversity and Gabsmacked, Periscope and Gabsmacked YouTube. I might do it on all three if I can, but we shall see how we go. In the meantime, I am 15 minutes late to meet my teacher. Put it up again so I can screen grab it. All right, let's do it. And then I'm going to tell you something else. That's the one. If you go to Twitter, you will see a beautiful photo I took of it. Questions taken on Facebook? Absolutely. Especially if you're a GoFund or Patreon member. If you're a GoFund or Patreon member, I will certainly be answering your questions. And obviously, I want to answer everybody's, but as the followers increase exponentially, it becomes harder and harder. But what's interesting is that as the followers increase, the probability of a question being unique decreases also. That's quite an interesting mathematical relationship. It's called a 1 over alpha relationship. It's very basic maths. It's like high school maths. My teacher's going to kill me because I need to go in and learn the Our Father in this ancient language of Jesus, because I'm going to say it at the speech, and I don't know it yet. So I'm going to read it and read it and read it, And you're going to see my savant brain be able to read the Our Father after only spending a few lessons on this language. And order your book to me. I'm so bad. All right, guys. Absolute pleasure to see you all. And I look forward to talking during the week as we get closer to this speech. Ancient Aramaic, Syriac. It's also called Northern Biblical Hebrew. Thank you so much. Jay Bear, lovely to see you all. I love the love on this scope. I love it. I love it. We are expanding our tent. Can't believe how many conservatives are here on my scope, considering I agree with you on nothing. Absolutely love that. That is a sign of a true West. That is a true West, my friends. That is a West that you can't knock down. Can't wait to share it with you guys. Absolute pleasure. God bless you all if you believe in that stuff. Otherwise, may the Lord bless you and keep you, even if you don't believe in that stuff. And we shall talk soon. Ciao, ciao.